This is Piper the Sailor Man, Sailor the Piper Man here, coming to you from the island of Puerto Rico, hoping that you have a wonderful day. Shabbat Shalom to those that keep it. Wonderful good morning, wonderful Saturday morning, a day of football, a day of smoking. Here I'm smoking a Jean-Claude French St. Claude pipe. It's a wonderful pipe. It was a gift item pipe and smokes really well. The only thing I was a little upset about is that the paint was kind of like chipping off. They probably put a cheap coating of paint on it. And but it smokes real well. I'm smoking a value pack vanilla Virginia Cavendish with some black Cavendish. Really nice. Wanted something light, mild, and aromatic, so that my wife and my daughters are in the house, and today's the day off, and I'm in my man cave smoking, and I really don't want to disturb them on the day. They're going to be watching their TV programs, and I like for my daughter and my wife to have their time together. You know, she's my only daughter here on the island. The other kids are abroad. One lives in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, the other in Connecticut, and another in New York City. And they're all doing well. They're all living their lives. I'm retired. I'm on this island, and so I'm enjoying my day. Day has gone pretty good so far. I'll probably watch some football later on, but as of now, I want to discuss something very important. As you know, in the past, I spoke about my Irish heritage, and I did my DNA to find certain things out. My mom and my dad divorced very young, so from his side of the family, I lost track of them, didn't know. I wanted to know why they never came after me, what happened to my grandparents. I had questions that needed to be answered. And so I took my DNA to see if anybody from that side of the family had taken the DNA. And I came across an individual that I knew as a little kid. He was the brother of my father. He was my uncle, Angelo Carmelo Santiago, who died in combat action in Vietnam. So in my father's record, he came up, and I checked his record, and it led me to a national database of veterans that had died in Vietnam, and he's on the Vietnam Memorial. How he died was he was a supply truck for the 356 supply company, and they were en route, and they were attacked by Viet Congs. And instead of him cowering and running off, he went toward the fire. And eyewitnesses say there was a firefight for about like half an hour until he finally succumbed to small arms fire. He laid there, and he was medevaced, and he died while one of the father chaplains, Catholics, did the last rites on him, and he passed away. He left a small child and his wife, and I was young. I didn't know he died in Vietnam, so I lost track of him. Later on, once I found out he had died, I had questions like, what happened to his wife? What happened to his child? My cousin, right? So I was investigating. They led me through some search until yesterday I found them. She had she was very young. They married when she was 16, he was 18, and she was with child. And so it seems that my father's family didn't respond well to her, so she left and came to the island of Puerto Rico and began studying, receiving government assistance. She worked, she became a lawyer, and then she spent for 24 years as a judge here on the island of Puerto Rico. I was nowhere near here. I was in the military, but during that time, she was a judge advocate. From a 16-year-old girl losing her husband in Vietnam, and having to go it alone, I finally got to speak to her yesterday. Very prominent woman. You know, she raised her level of life through determination and will, much like I did. So we have that in common, you know. And she became well known and prominent, and she was able to put her daughter, my cousin, in a private school, and then daughter went off to make her life in Florida. Very educated, you know. So that was happy. That was a big question mark I had. Well, what happened to Angelo's wife after he died in Vietnam, and his daughter? And that was answered yesterday. That's the good part about DNA, that you could track somebody that's long lost. It could be a brother. You know, I've come across a lot of half cousins, man, that shocked me. That they were left as orphanages, as orphans, not knowing who their parents were, not knowing the next of kin. And lo and behold, a lot of them have contacted me, not realizing, you know, who are these people? I'm like, who are these people? I don't know them. How can they be my cousin? I never heard of them. And then when they begin to tell me their story, I realized, wow, man, you know, some of our ancestors were like, you know. And I had some girl tell me, I feel like doing my DNA. I said, listen, you gonna do your DNA? You might not like what you find. You might not like what some of your things that your ancestors did. Some being slave owners, some, in my case, I came from a lot of conquistadors. On my father's side, on my mother's father's side, on my mother's side, on my father's side, both of them. I come from a long line of conquistadors. And you know, when the conquistadors went from Spain and from Portugal into the New World, they wreaked havoc on Native Americans. Even though I have Native American blood, and a lot of them married Native American women, some of the things that they did to Native Americans were horrifying. When I found that out, I was like, oh my God. You know, when I found out I'm the descendant of Ponce de Leon, what do you think I thought? You think I jumped for joy? You know? When one of my ancestors were fighting on the side of the Confederacy, went from Puerto Rico, landed in New Orleans back in the early 1800s, and joined the Confederate Army because he was living in the South. I'm like, what? So that opened the questions like, was he a slave owner? Was he? I have no pictures, but he fought on the side of the Confederates, just like many blacks did. You know, many. You'd be surprised. You will be surprised how many African Americans fought on the side of the Confederates. So they don't want to talk about that in history, but that's a damn fact. You know, a lot of the Africans were benefiting from that that plantation system. I'm sorry to say, but that's the truth. You know, it's like a lot of people don't want to talk about. A lot of people don't want to talk about the fact that Africans in Africa enslaved other Africans and sold them to the Portuguese and sold them to the Dutch and sold them to whoever wanted to buy slaves. And we can go all the way back to the Roman Empire. You know, they conquered the Scythians, they conquered the Greeks, they conquered whoever was in their way of gaining control of the world domination. There's nothing new. For us, you and I are not slaves. So why are we getting caught up in things that happened hundreds of years ago that had nothing to do with us? We should count the blessings that we're born in a country that was founded on the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. You know? That being said, I want to talk about my DNA. I want you guys to know my DNA. It's important to me. I like people to get to know who I am. If you're gonna be my friend, we're gonna socialize that. You know, I don't like to be put in a box. People think, oh, I'm this type of guy. A lot of people call me Latino. A lot of people call me African American. A lot of people call me, oh, you're Puerto Rican, and they really don't know who I am. You are what your blood says you are. Now, your cultural simulation, where you were born, what culture you were ingrained in, that's a totally different thing. So right now, I took my Ancestry.com, and this is the latest result. It changes as they continually test people. They change. I got 25% Portuguese. I have here. Portuguese. See? Ancestry.com. I'm going to read it off. I have 25% Portuguese. I have 8% Cameroon, Congo, and Bantu people. So I have African. I have 8% Benin and Togo. Obviously, these slaves in the diaspora. I have 8% Mali. Then I have indigenous Puerto Rico, 7%, which is Taino Indian. So I have Native American. Then I have 7% Spanish. Now that percentage was a lot higher, but once they began to really focus in, I have more Portuguese than Spanish ancestry. I have 6% Nigerian. And North Africa, I have 5%, which means that 5%, according to this, that could be of Sephardic Jewish descent, Arabic descent, or most likely Berber, common people in that area. 5%. I have Ivory Coast and Ghana. Okay, West Africa. Then I have 4% Senegal. And this just popped up. I knew I had this. It was just a matter of, because in my DNA there were certain people that were Amish and there were Puritans that settled in Pennsylvania. They were my ancestors as we went up. Their names, you can tell by their names. And so I have England and Northwest Europe 3%. In Ireland, I have a solid 3% Irish. I told you about the two brothers that came to the island. They're from Ireland back in the 16th to 17th century. Then I have 2% Basque, which is a region within, a region in the north within Spain. That region, they have been isolated. They fought off the Romans, they fought off the Visigoths, they fought off everybody, and they kept intact and intermarried within themselves. The Basque, I got 2%. Now I got indigenous Dominican Republic, 1%, which is Indian, native Indian. Then I got Viking blood, which is cool. I have 1%, at least one ancestor of Norwegian descent, going way back, 14th century. Then I got this just popped up, the island of Cyprus. I got 1%. That's new. Obviously, there's some people, there's a small community that they did DNA in, and we happen to relate. Before then, I had Balkan region, but I have Cyprus. Then I have 1% Egyptian. 1% meaning that it goes way back to one of my ancestors, going at least 10th century, Egypt. But Egyptian, not Arabic, Egyptian, which is pretty cool, right? It have, let's see. Oh, I also have 1% from Wales. Like I said, I knew I had descent from Vikings, from English, Anglo-Saxon, and from the Celtic. So I have all three in me. That's why you don't want to get me all pissed off if I'm drunk. 1% Eastern Bantu, and 2% Indigenous Eastern South America. That's the one I was saying that she was from a tribe, a shamanistic tribe out of the Amazon called the Musica Indians out of Colombia. So then when I found this out, then I've been investigating to see which one of my ancestors were from these different regions. And I was shocked. I was shocked about my English. It goes back to William the Conqueror, actually his father. The Norway goes back to the Vikings, certain Vikings. Cyprus is very interesting. I have no idea. In Egypt, I have no idea. Irish, like I said, I already knew. Oh, I also have European Jewish, 2%. I come from a long line. 2% mean back in the 13th century, 14th century, it came up in the DNA that I come from a very long line of rabbis, Levites, going all the way back. The earliest person that I'm related to, no, even before, more, it goes beyond him, but the one that most people know is Rashid. I'm a direct descendant of Rashid through one of my lines, one of the famous scholars of the classic Jewish Spanish Roman period. So I have Sephardic lines, a lot of Perez, a lot of Gomez. So this is what basically I'm made up of, all these people that somehow found themselves married, intermarry with different ethnic groups. I find it cool. And usually you have the dispositions of your ancestors. And I always loved music from Celtic, all kind of music. I always liked different people. I love studying different religions. I love studying anthropology. So I love the arts, I love books, I'm eclectic. And so my DNA shows that. So I just wanted to share with you, smoke my pipe, have a good time. But truly, you can't do anything about the past. It is what it is. You know, some of my ancestors did some horrendous things. Some of my ancestors were slave owners. You know, there were black slave owners too. There were slave owners from all different countries. So, you know, to pass judgment on people that live today is ridiculous, and blaming them for whatever happened in the past when they don't even know the whole story. And because someone is color white, you know, you're gonna blame them, you're gonna call them slave owners, you're gonna call them racist or whatever. It's ridiculous. It's ignorance, really, it's ignorance. You have to know the whole story of your family. You have to hold on the whole story and not just go based on what somebody else says, hearsay. You really have to know your history. And so you're going to realize, if you've ever studied history, slavery from the dawn of human history has existed. War has existed. Spirituality, music. You study anthropology, you're going to realize that's all part of the human drama. And so we need to put that to rest. We're living our lives now. We can make decisions for ourselves now. The destiny is in our hands as to how we're going to live, how we're going to treat people going forward. And I think that's the lesson that I've learned from history, is that man doesn't learn from history. They tend to repeat history. I want not to try to tend to repeat my mistakes. I mean, I didn't make all the mistakes I didn't do. I committed, I never repeated them. And so that's one thing we can learn from life. If you buy a bad pipe that a certain maker makes, you're not going to buy it from that maker, right? You're going to change up. You tried a certain tobacco, you didn't like tobacco, you're going to buy that tobacco again. No, you made a mistake to purchase the tobacco. So what do? You find something else, tobacco to smoke. So you learn. It's, life is trial and error. And you'll be treated how you treat others. Most of the time, I'm 64 years old. I've treated people with respect, and they have treated me with respect. I've been able to live on the principles of the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights. I don't tread into others, and most of the time people have never treaded onto me. I've given police officers respect, and they've given me respect for being veteran and being a citizen of the United States. I've obeyed the laws because they were made because people voted and put politicians in office, and they passed certain bills. That's the democratic process. I don't believe in overriding the laws of the land. If you want to change the laws, then you come together with your constituents, you elect someone that's going to have your hearing, and you begin to change the law, but in a decent and right way, in the process of democracy. I don't like what's going on now. People are not being held accountable. People are not stepping up to the plate and saying, this was my fault. I believe in accountability. Most of my life, I've been held accountable. I want all politicians, all people in any political office or judge to be held accountable for their actions. And it's important that we live in a civilization where there are laws that protects all of us. And no one special than no one else. And of course, that's hard to do. But for the most part, it's unfair, the laws that are being created for tobacco smoke. I think it's very unfair when the tobacco industries were built America. This is Piper the Sailorman, City the Piper Man. Smooth sailing, have a wonderful day. And I hope that what I shared was of interest. Bye-bye.